Oh, welcome to Full Moon Friday. I'm Scotty. You're not, and we are talking Trancers. 5. Sudden Death. And this is a continuation of the last one, shot back to back with the fourth one. It's a continuation of the story. Jack is still stuck in Orpheus, trying to find a way back when the previous villain, the villain from the previous film, comes back to life somehow and causes havoc as Jack tries to get back to his own time. Look, this movie, I think we're on the downward slope of Trancers movies. I enjoyed the first three. 4 was okay. This, I at least thought that the fourth one was a decent change of pace. Being in modern times and even like 2005. Here, they're in the medieval times. This is just a continuation of that. And after watching this, I think you could have taken some of the elements of the last one, some of the elements of this one, smush them together a little bit, and had one film. Because here they introduced the time end, which will get Jack back to where he belongs, even though not really time travel, but you know what I mean. If they just introduced that in the last one, like here they introduce it and it ends up being in the hands of the villain, whose name I keep forgetting, Caliban. He has it, and he ends up having it. So just having that in the last film, Jack gets it and goes back. And this movie ends with a setup with one of the characters in this that could go into the next one. I know it doesn't because I've read about what the next one's about, and this character's not in that movie, but I don't know. I feel like if they were going for a back-to-back thing, you could end with this character being in the future and then, continuing from that story point. But they decided to make 2 films back-to-back, filming in Romania because it's cheaper, with the same villain because it's cheaper. Even though they technically teased a different villain in the last one, there is nothing. This movie starts with 10 minutes of recap from the last film, which I appreciated, being it's been a week or two since I watched the fourth one. I was able to get recapped real quick. But imagine that I watched this one right after the fourth one, and I have to sit through 10 minutes of something I just watched. It's verbatim 10 minutes of recap from the last film. Stuff you already knew if you had just watched the fourth one. Like I said, it's been a couple weeks. It was a nice rewind, refresh, I should say. But you got the same villain. He's the same as he was in the last one. He's not really as impressive anymore because he was this big bad guy. He was already tranced, or he was already singed. So now what? He comes back for no reason. There's no reason why he comes back. Like at all. He just shows up because of this painting that the guy from Teen Wolf grabs before they are driven out of the castle. And this movie meanders for most of its runtime. This movie is an hour and a half. 10 minutes of that is the recap. And the rest, there's a lot of talking scenes. Like, I feel like there's more action scenes in the first three. A lot of talking scenes. There's a lot of, we are going to do this. And then there's a lot of Jack not trusting Prospero because he's constantly turning into a trancer. And he's feeding off of the one chick from the last one. Plus, there's like a love thing between Jack and Lyra of this universe. And he says when he gets back, he's going to make things right with Lila. You literally only know each other for 5 minutes. But okay. But yeah. But honestly, this movie didn't impress me at all. It was meh for me. I feel like they could have done more with this. It's basically just everything from 4, only less exciting because you've already seen it. You've seen all the sights and the sceneries in this. You've seen all the bad guys, all the characters that are in this film or in the last one. There's nothing new added to it. At least with Trancers 2, you had a different villain. So if the city was the same, they were the same characters were in it, you had a different villain, But here, it's the same villain, same side characters, same everything. It just, I don't know. And they teased like it would be a different villain, like an all powerful villain. I thought maybe that thing in the sky that helped Jack defeat the other one was actually the ultimate villain all along and they didn't know it. That doesn't go anywhere. He shows up to help Lyra figure out that she has the power to draw the future or something. And look, I didn't mention this in the last one, but like it's foretold that Jack is a chosen one coming from the future into this medieval world. And then literally in this one, Jack faces an evil version of himself. Somebody watched Army of Darkness. I'm just saying. But yeah, the movie ends with Prospero killing his own father. They take the time end, and it for some reason brings Jack and Prospero back to the future. Something I gotta mention because I didn't realize I mentioned in my previous reviews that I thought it was weird they abandoned the continuity of Jack. You know, at the end of 3, Jack goes back to the future, but they got rid of the whole his body. What I didn't realize that his body died in the second film. I guess I missed that part that it was dying in the second film, and so he didn't have a body. He was stuck. But still, like, so he, with that in mind, his consciousness didn't get sent back up. He was legitimately brought back in the third one, which I didn't realize. Same thing with his wife. I already knew that though, but I guess I didn't realize that's what happened. But yeah, so they get back to the future. Prospero's with him. Prospero no longer feels the need. He doesn't feel the transfer powers anymore. He disconnected from Orpheus, so he doesn't have that. And you can tell that what's her face, his love interest, kind of detached too, because he was like feeding off of her life force. And like when Prospero disappeared, she's like, oh, Prospero, like she was free of it, and then he doesn't feel it anymore, so he wants to stay in the future. And that's what I'm saying. Like from what I read of what the 6th one's about, this doesn't come back at all. So I don't know if they'll explain it. I know that like technically Tim Thomerson doesn't come back for the next one. It's like a body double and archive footage, but I don't know. Very interested to see where they go. But you have Jack making amends with Harris. Harris saying, you know, I do love Alice. He said, that's fine. And he goes after Lyra, which, again, they've only known each other for 5 minutes, but they're smooching and stuff. I don't know. And the movie ends, and it's meh. It's not worth your time. I want to say this is actually worse than the 4th one. At least the 4th one I was interested in some of the stuff, but this is more of the same, and it just was a slog from the beginning to end. I'm just like, okay, this is 130 minutes, 120 without the recap, and it still felt long. an hour and 30 minutes, an hour and 20 with the recap, and it still felt long. These movies aren't that long. This felt like it was the longest of them, even though it kind of was, but 10 minutes of that was the recap. So I don't know. I also feel like they ignored, like I said, they ignored the ending of the last one with like there's the laughter, like something else is coming, and then we cut to this one, and it's been a month since the events of the last film, and there's been nothing. I don't know. I always feel like if you're filming something back to back, you have to have some kind of continuity, but it feels like there was a quick rewrite, and we're like, well, we can't afford to, like, they were going to have a different villain. Like, well, we can't afford another villain, so we'll just have the same villain. I don't know. It's all mad to me. So like I say, it's not worth your time, but I don't know. I'm interested to see where the 6th one goes. I haven't heard a lot of good things about it, but we shall see. But till then, what are your thoughts on Trancers 5? And when it comes to, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.